Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Whiteside, licensed clinical social worker. Thanks for joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it very, very much. You know, I can tell you that this storm has caused some issues. The COVID has caused some issues, none more than the distancing of people and friends. And as I welcome back into the program, Earl Eues, Director of Emergency Preparedness. Earl, welcome back.
Keith, it's good to be back. It's I've been away for a while, since the storm.
You've been a little busy.
Yeah, we have been. The parish is busy, working to either recovery and trying to help out as many people as possible that live in Terrebonne Parish, and we're in constant contact with Lafourche Parish also, right, to make sure that everybody's being taken care of.
Well, I guess the first and most important thing is that it's a brand new 2022. And I know you're one of those most hopeful people. There's some hope and there's some light at the end of this tunnel.
Yeah, there is. It was so grateful, Keith, to see our community coming together last year and to help so many people, and to see the outpouring from all over the country come into this area to support, the people here that needed it. And, and the reason we had gotten all that support, because we do the same thing when something happens in another part of the country. We reach out to those people in those areas, and in fact, we had some people reaching out to the people doing our tornadoes in the Midwest a couple weeks ago, and they're suffering and hurting themselves here still, but they're reaching out trying to help out somebody else.
Yeah, one of the things we figured out is the best way to help yourself is to help somebody else, and that's just one of those things that's valuable. And so, it's interesting, Earl, you talked about those other things. I don't know that any of us could have understood what they were dealing with in Lake Charles unless you actually went there and had boots on the ground. People don't know, still don't know, how difficult it is unless you're here. And it's one of those things that you guys got a chance to learn from. You worked very closely with the group over in Lake Charles because they wanted to know, how did y'all do in the recovery? How do y'all do this? What would y'all do? And we learned some things from them. We got things better than they were able to do it there.
We did, and fortunately, I was able to spend 2 weeks at the Governor's Office of Homeland Security Emergency Preparedness in Baton Rouge immediately after Laura, and saw what was taking place, what was happening, and things that they did that I was like, oh, we need to do that in case we ever have an incident in our area. And unfortunately, that incident occurred last year.
It sure did. And one of the things, we don't need to kind of recreate the wheel, but one of the things that we found has been most difficult has been sheltering.
That's correct. Housing has been difficult. I applaud the state. Immediately after the storm, we knew we would have a housing issue, so we requested they set up some base camps throughout the parish. So we had 5 base camps set up throughout the parish, especially in the low-lying bayou communities, so people could have a place immediately to go that was close to their home. In the event that they wanted to go do some work on their home, they were able to do that. So I commend the state for doing that. And then we're working closely with FEMA to bring in some additional direct housing, and then also with the state with their IDA sheltering program.
And they did a remarkable job. They did something that's rather unprecedented. They've never done it anywhere else.
That's correct.
Where the state was responsible and said, you know what, FEMA, let us do this initially, and then you can help us along the back end. And we've actually made some great strides with that.
We have. So at the present time, we have about 1,136 trailers that are placed on residents' private property at the present time. Of those 1,136, 920 have residents living in them already. So in other words, their families are there.
Yeah, and that's a point of contention, is it's not just one person. It's just not 920 people. It's 920 families.
That's correct.
And maybe multiple families in some of those trailers.
Well, and they may be. Okay. Right. And then a lot of people have seen the trailers out on Highway 311 and Highway 90 up there by Rebecca Plantation. There's 91 trailers that have families in them at that point right now. That trailer park will be built out to about 240 trailers.
Oh, my. So 91 right now, and that's going to expand to 240.
That's correct.
Wow. Wow. And so, unfortunately, with that group there that owns that land, they've been very helpful. in being
Yes.
able to do that.
Yes, it was good to work with the landowners who we contacted immediately, and they said, yeah, we would be willing to work with the state to provide some property. So they have done that, and then we're working with FEMA at the present time to get some additional acreage out there to put some additional what they call modular home units.
Yeah, because both are kind of necessary. We're still seeing that sheltering need as it continues here in our recovery process.
That's correct. It's been a little over almost 100 days, since we activated the base camps. And the reason the base camps were activated was for those people that did not have a place to go, they would have a place to go. So we're focusing now on trying to get everyone out of the base camps into some type of temporary travel trailer or what they call a mobile home unit.
Right.
An MHU is what they call it.
Right.
So we're working diligently to do that. So far, we've been able to take everyone out of the Dulac base camp and everyone out of the Montague base camp and put them in some trailers, and then we're hoping to get everyone out of the Chauvin base camp within the next week or two back into some type of trailer unit.
Right, and then, so we're going from that immediate temporary housing to a little bit more permanent temporary.
I don't want to call it permanent.
It's less temporary.
Yeah, I don't want to call it permanent, but
right.
it's better than being inside of a base
camp. And quite frankly, it's a place that people can have a temporary home that they can kind of establish for themselves.
Yeah.
And so a lot of great work. And so, Earl, appreciate all that you and your team has done with the state, with parish government, with our local elected officials. They've worked really, really hard at getting these things together. And some people are now just starting to figure out that, oh my gosh, maybe I can't live in the home that I've been staying in. I know it's been a little while, but some people are still trying to wait on an adjuster to come or get a roof put on. And so if people still needed to do that, let's tell them where they can go to get more information.
So if you're still in need of shelter, or we're getting a lot of people, the living arrangements have changed, so
Right.
they're trying to find
Families kicking them out.
another temporary solution. They can go to idashelteringla.com. That's all one word, idashelteringla.com. You go online, they'll take all your information and register. You have to also be registered with FEMA.
Yeah.
So
got to be registered with FEMA before we can get anything done.
And then if you do not have access to a computer, you can call a toll-free number, which is 844-268-0301. Once again, that's 844-268-0301, and they will get all the information from you to put you on the list to qualify for state sheltering, which is the IDA sheltering program.
And we certainly want people to be able to call, and they can also go down to Montague. Is
Yes.
that correct?
So FEMA has what they call a disaster recovery center, a DRC. Most people would have noticed one at the Civic Center. They dismantled that one. They found in another location within the next couple of days. But they do have one that's open at the Montague Recreation Center in Montague. That's on Recreation Drive in Montague. So if you need some help with FEMA, if you had an appeal, or you got some SBA questions, or any type of assistance questions, you can go there and get your questions answered.
And they're really good about answering those questions, I can tell you. Now, one of the things that IDA did was we saw that it really created some distancing for people, and we saw some numbers with COVID go down. That's changed.
Yeah, right before the storm, we were at about 19% positivity. After the storm, a couple of weeks, actually they didn't put out some numbers for almost 4 weeks.
Right.
But we were below 5%. And then today, with the Omicron variant being dominant in our area, our percent positivity is at 25.3%.
25.3%.
Before the storm, we were at a little over 19%. So we're higher than we were for the Delta variant. Pre-IDA. So I just caution everyone, please go get vaccinated.
We're still hovering in Louisiana around 40%.
Here in Terrebonne, we're at 41.25%. I think
low.
along the state, the average is about 50%, which is very, very low. So I encourage you to go get vaccinated. Again, the numbers are increasing in the hospital, not like they were for Delta,
Right.
but we are getting some hospitalizations, and 75% of those hospitalizations are unvaccinated.
Right.
Okay, so
3 out of every 4.
I encourage you to get vaccinated. We need to go back to continually washing our hands. We need to do social distancing. With these numbers at 25.3%, it's pretty scary.
Yeah, and even if you're one of those people that don't feel like you're that concerned, trust me, I know someone who very close to me who's gotten both vaccinations, didn't go and get their booster yet, but believe me, they're going to get it. And they still caught COVID, and they were down for a week. I mean, it's going to make its impact. And the other thing is, if you're one of those people that's not really practicing these mitigation efforts like Earl's talking about, then there's the possibility you could spread that to somebody who is not vaccinated or somebody who has got other comorbidities, and that could really make a difference for them.
So, we're all tired of COVID, but it's still here. We're still in a pandemic. People are still getting sick. So it's important. Now, there is no mandate to wear a mask, okay? But the governor has recommended that people wear a masking, and I have been wearing a mask when I go to places that have a lot of people, like the grocery store, or the bank, or somewhere where I'm going to be around a lot of people. And so I've been wearing my mask the last couple of weeks to try to get this Omicron variant. I spoke to 4 friends yesterday that had it, over the phone, and so it's out there, and with this percent positivity, it's definitely in our community.
Oh yeah, and look, my partner in what I do with my daily job, she knows 10 friends right now that are positive Omicron. One of my best friends had it 2 weeks ago. I had a family member have it this past week. It's there. We can't pretend like it's not there. So we want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence, and it's simple. We've gotten used to wearing masks. We've gotten used to using hand sanitizer. I just bought 5 new bottles of hand sanitizer. Yeah. And I'm always careful about staying at least 6 feet away from people.
So, and the other thing I want to say, Keith, is please try not to use the emergency rooms at the hospital for testing.
Yes.
Okay. There are lots of areas to get testing done. The Terrebonne Parish Office of Homeland Security Emergency Preparedness' Facebook page. We post those all the time of where the testing is available, and like Terrebonne General has testing if you go through there. But please do not use the emergency room for testing, as they're getting overwhelmed also.
Yeah, and in fact, at Terrebonne General, you can go and get tested in one line, get vaccinated in the other. In fact, I spoke to one of the doctors last week. I did it the week of Christmas. I came down with an upper respiratory infection. I was worried. I went and got tested. Fortunately, I didn't have the flu, didn't have A flu or B flu, and didn't have COVID. But I got some medicine and got better. Yeah. And so, Earl, always appreciate you coming on. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Keith. Enjoyed being here.
All right. Guys, don't go anywhere. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, more Bayou Time with HTV.